All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this village board meeting to order on Monday, April 3rd, 2023, and ask you if you would all please rise and join the village board in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Scaletta.
Here.
Trustee Canty.
Here.
Trustee Grasse.
Here.
Trustee LaBedz.
Here.
Trustee Schwingbeck.
Here.
Trustee Baldino.
Here.
Trustee Bertucci. Trustee Tinaglia. President Hayes.
Here. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes, and we have two sets to approve tonight. One from our committee of the whole meeting of March 13, 2023. Are there any changes or passes?
Move approval.
Motion to approve by Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee Schwingbeck. Anything further from the board or from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And next, the minutes from our village board meeting of March 20, 2023. Any changes or passes?
I move to approve. Second.
Motion to approve by Trustee Grasse, seconded by Trustee LaBedz. Anything from the board or the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Next, we have the approval of the accounts payable, and who would like to do it? Trustee Baldino?
Thank you, Mayor. I would move approval of the warrant register with a check date of March 30th, 2023, in the amount of $2,274,093.86.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Baldino, seconded by Trustee Schwingbeck. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Baldino.
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck.
Yes.
Trustee Canty.
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta.
Yes.
Trustee Grasse.
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz.
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Well, we move on to recognitions and presentations, and we do have some very honored guests here with us this evening to recognize National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. And so the Village of Arlington Heights is a founding member of the Northwest Central Dispatch System, which is an intergovernmental consolidated emergency dispatch system providing 911 services for 12 local communities and 2 fire districts. The center celebrated 50 years of emergency communication service to our region last year, 2022. The state-of-the-art communications center handles an average of 1,700 telephone calls per day and dispatches approximately 300,000 police and fire calls for service annually. The combined population service area includes just under 1,500,000 citizens spread out over 175 square miles. Northwest Central Dispatch is an accredited Center for Excellence recognized by the International Academies of Emergency Dispatch. The label of first responder typically refers to a category of dedicated professionals who are the first to arrive at a scene of a critical incident or the first to deliver life-saving medical treatment. This evening, the Village Board is pleased to acknowledge the dedicated team of first responders at Northwest Central Dispatch System. Trained telecommunicators answer 911 calls or are often the first point of contact for someone in crisis who may be experiencing the worst day of their lives. With a calming voice, a telecommunicator determines what type of immediate assistance is needed, identifies where to direct emergency resources, and if necessary, provides life-saving emergency medical instruction such as CPR or choking rescue. This often unrecognized component of an emergency response is the reason behind tonight's recognition. Representing Northwest Central Dispatch here this evening is Executive Director John Ferraro, an Arlington Heights resident, Operations Manager Jenny Rogers, also an Arlington Heights resident, and telecommunicator Gia Graziana, who we hope will soon be an Arlington Heights resident. So welcome to you all. Thank you for your dedicated service to our community and the other 11 communities and 2 fire districts in the system. And so if you would please join me up front here for a very special proclamation. We'll now read this very special proclamation, again recognizing National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week from April 9 to 15, 2023. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services. And whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and the preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Northwest Central Dispatch System Emergency Communications Center, and whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Northwest Central Dispatch System have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their jobs in the past year. Therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Arlington Heights declares the week of April 9 through 15, 2023 to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the Village of Arlington Heights, in honor, again, of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. So thank you once again on behalf of all the elected representatives, our community, and the grateful citizens that we represent. Congratulations. I'm going to give you an opportunity to say a few words.
Sure.
If you would.
Just quickly, I want to say what a pleasure it is to work with the Arlington Heights Police and Fire Department and support them. On behalf of Gia and Jenny and all of the employees of Northwest Central Dispatch, we are honored to receive this proclamation. Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you all. There are no other recognitions or presentations, and so we'll move on to citizens to be heard. And I have no blue cards from members of the audience, just to, again, inquire, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board on items not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, I'll move to old business. There is none, so we'll move to the consent agenda. Are there any members of the board who wish to vote no or pass on any item on the consent agenda? Any members of the audience wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Any members? Let me entertain a motion to approve.
I would move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion to approve the consent agenda by Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee LaBedz. Roll call.
Trustee Scaletta.
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz.
Yes.
Trustee Canty.
Yes.
Trustee Grasse.
Yes.
Trustee Baldino.
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck.
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. We move on then to new business, and there is also none of that. So we'll move to the report of the village manager, Mr. Recklass.
Nothing this evening.
Right, and under petitions and communications, let me just remind everybody to vote tomorrow. Very important election. There are a few contested races in some of our areas, and so please remember to do your civic duty and vote. It's very important that we exercise that right. Good luck to all the candidates. Any other petitions and communications from the board? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee LaBedz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all.